We're looking at the Mount Barker Courier from February 12th, 1915. And one of the ads that caught my eye was placed by William Houghton & Co., based in Curry Street in Adelaide. And it says that they're willing to buy all manner of things, including sheep, rabbit, possum and kangaroo skins, wattle gum, horsehair, beeswax, tallow and more. They say they'll take any quantity and you can get the highest cash prices. They don't even charge a commission, but I have no idea what they do with all that stuff. So if you've got an idea what they're going to do with a bunch of animal skins, some wattle gum, horsehair, beeswax and tallow, perhaps you could let me know. In other advertising from the 1915 Courier, I see that the dentist is in town. Of course, there wasn't a regular dentist resident in Mount Barker at the time, but Mr. Alex White, I notice he's a Mr. not a doctor, is due to visit Mount Barker on Saturday, February the 13th, 1915. Due to the lack of any permanent surgery, Mr. White is consulting at the chemist shop. So that should be very interesting for anybody who's in there buying anything from the chemist. Sometimes the newspapers read a little bit like Facebook, I've noticed, and I've found a person here who claims that they have a fantastic way to lose pounds and pounds of fat every single week. All you have to do is make up a lotion of cassia bark and rub it into all of your fat bits every morning and every night, and apparently the fat will melt before your very eyes. Now, why haven't I heard of this before? I'm off to find some cassia bark and try this one out immediately. Apparently people can lose at least 2 pounds every week, so it wouldn't take long to be very trim, taut and terrific after that treatment. It says in the Courier from 1915 that a tree lopper has suffered an accident when he fell from a tree near Mount Torrens. His name was Charles Linton, and he was apparently a very experienced log chopper. He'd won prizes at the Adelaide show, but unfortunately on this day luck was not on his side. He fell from the tree he was working on, and it sounds like he landed feet first. He ended up with both his ankles broken and one hip fractured. He was taken to the Mount Pleasant Hospital, where Dr. Proctor looked after him. It says that a man was arrested on a Sunday after being found breaking into the cellar at the Great Eastern Hotel in Littlehampton, and of course that one's still there. He managed to make it to Nan before local police caught up with him, and he was in court the very next day. He pleaded guilty and he was sentenced to 1 month in jail. 1 month in jail for attempting to break into a hotel. Interesting comparison with what we have nowadays. Now, I promised to give you an update of the outcome of the Mount Barker High School cricket match between the students and old scholars that was held this week 100 years ago. There was a great crowd of former students and other locals in attendance for the match. The current students won the toss and they elected to bat first. They were helped out by their master, who was Mr. Smith. Apparently the wickets fell very quickly until young Master Ford came to the crease. He batted on for a long time, with 10 out of 26 scoring strokes being fours. The reporter was very impressed with young Mr. Ford's style, and he thinks he could make a great batsman once he's finished with his high school studies, of course. Mr. Smith, the teacher, was eventually caught out, and then the innings finished at 173 runs. Next, it was the old scholars' turn to bat, and they only had less than an hour left in the day to try and match the students' score. That sounds a little bit uneven, doesn't it? Mr. Schumacher, who had been the most successful bowler, was the first to bat, and he managed a very creditable 67 runs before he was told to retire. He didn't get a choice in it. Mr. Cook was batting as well. He retired after scoring 49 runs. Next into bat were Mr. Palmer and Reg Dorr. Palmer made 5 and Dorr 2 before they were both out. Time was called when the score for the old scholars was 142 for only 4 wickets. It's a shame that their time was limited. I think the old scholars would have managed to easily pass the target set by the current students. So that's what was happening in the Adelaide Hills area in the Courier of 100 years ago from February 1915.